So if she's on a team,
they're watching.
The jersey sales. Do you think you can sell more jerseys without her or with her? Obviously, it's going to be with her.
Absolutely.
USA jersey with her name on it is going to sell.
So in the event that she's in a group, they watch me, the pullover deals, how about you sell more shirts without her, or with her undeniable, will be with her USA pullover, with her name on it will sell in the following couple of minutes. We will separate the stunning truth behind Caitlyn Clark's Olympic reprimand, will uncover the genuine explanation. She was left off the group, and trust me, it's not what you're expecting. Now you may be asking why we're raising Clark's Olympic scorn particularly. Since it happened months prior, well, she returned to the subject during her new Time magazine interview, and that is precisely why we really want to discuss it. Definitely, like she discussed all that Clark's fantasy was to play in the Olympics as a tenderfoot, and she had been satisfying the expectations, setting up noteworthy.
Clark over Horston.
She was averaging 19.2 focuses, 5.7 bounce back, and 8.4 helps per game. That was a very decent group that made that group so great. U2 are outside leave. Again, leave over Hun hits a 3 only a couple of days before the Olympics. During a game against the spiritualists, she ventured onto the court with something to demonstrate. And kid, did she convey 7 3-pointers. That is Olympic level stuff, not too far off. Clark's shooting was unbelievable. She was emptying shots out of...
But yeah, so Caitlyn Clark genuinely thought until after that game that she had a chance of making the Olympic team.
30 foot out, like it was nothing, leaving safeguards scratching their heads. Except for her game isn't just about scoring, her court vision is staggering. She's finding partners through holes most players don't for even a moment notice, setting them up for simple pale. After the Washington Spiritualists game, where I think she hit 7 threes on undefeated triumph after an exhibition like that, you figure Clark would be a lock for the Olympic group, right? Mentors and examiners were falling over themselves to laud her abilities. It appeared like an easy decision. Yet here's where things get fascinating. Just after the game, Clark was feeling large.
The Washington Mystics game, where I think she hit 7 threes on undefeated.
In charge, she got her telephone and messaged her representative, presumably expecting some incredible news about her Olympic possibilities. The reaction,
she also might have the worst agent ever. I'm not joking. Caitlyn Clark, like, as far as basketball related stuff, non-basketball related stuff, the agent seems to be doing a decent job, but she seems to have the worst agent ever when it comes to basketball related.
Need to call you. Those 5 words changed everything. Could you at any point envision how Clark felt? Brief, she's enjoying some real success after the round of her life, and the following, she's left thinking about what's happening yet. Definitely so. Caitlyn Clark, educated, truly instructed, until after that game that she...
Yeah, like, she revealed all. Talked about everything.
Got an opportunity of making the Olympic group. To exacerbate the situation, her group should get the data early and illuminate her, yet that didn't occur. Rather, the news was spilled around the same time. They told her she wouldn't play. She likewise could have the most horrendously terrible specialist at any point. I'm not kidding. Caitlyn Clark, like, to the extent that ball-related stuff, non-b-ball related stuff, the special...
Literally the last game before the Olympics, she broke the all-time assist record while scoring 24 points. A few, like, games beforehand, I think she had 13 assists and 29 points against Washington, which was a ridiculous game. And she had 30 against Washington earlier in the year. And ironically, at this stage, at the time they announced they weren't going to pick her, she had had multiple 30-point games. She had a couple of 8 or 9 assist games. And she was still not picked,
is
obviously.
By all accounts making a respectable showing, yet she appears to be the most awful specialist ever with regards to ball-related stuff. It doesn't make any sense, does it? A heavenly presentation, acclaim from specialists, and a player in her prime. Clark broke endless records, including helps, and most noteworthy freshman scorer, yet in spite of this, her Olympic dreams veered.
She knows what's coming.
The news predictably was unpleasant. The Olympic roster was just about to leak and Clark wasn't on it. USA basketball officials hopped on a call with Clark. They were like, yeah, we haven't selected you. Obviously, we think the world of how you play, blah, blah, blah. She wasn't really listening. She knew she was good enough to be on it.
The purpose for this choice may very well shock you in a real sense. The last game before the Olympic, she broke the all-time help record while scoring 24 focuses. A couple of like games ahead of time, I think she had 13 helps and 29.
Right? You're saying millions of people will be mad if she doesn't play a lot. Well, that means a million people won't be viewing if she's not on a team. So if she's on a team,
they're watching.
The jersey sales. Do you think you can sell more jerseys without her or with her? Obviously, it's going to be with her.
Absolutely.
USA
Against
jersey
Washington,
with her name
which was
on
a
it
ludicrous
is going to
game.
sell.
So
And she
what's
had 30 against Washington. Before in the year, unexpectedly at this stage at the time, they reported they won't pick her. She had numerous 30-point games, she had several 8 or 9 help games, and she was as yet not picked. Clearly, as we referenced, Clark was enjoying some real success after her fantastic execution.
But the
when
fact that it also leaked from the camp that the reason why Caitlyn Clark didn't make the team was nothing to do with basketball. It was nothing to do with her not being at the camp that was on during the Final Four. It was nothing to do with all of these other things. It was like a lot of it was to do with the fact that they didn't want the circus around them, and that she wasn't going to play many minutes, and we didn't want her fans around. They literally said they didn't want her fans around, and they were like, "Oh, the circus might derail them."
in the group.
But wait, there's more to this.
USA ball authorities, you'd expect a call like that to be loaded with congrats, right? Yet something felt off. The authorities start for certain pleasant words. We appreciate how you play, they say, yet Clark's not getting it. She's heard the bits of hearsay. She understands what's coming. The news typically was disagreeable. The Olympic program was right at the hole, and Clark wasn't on it. USA ball authorities jumped on a call with Clark. They resembled, no doubt. We haven't chosen you. Clearly we respect how you play. Yakety yak. She wasn't actually listening. She realized she was great no to be in the group. Then it happens, Clark's not in the group. Could you at any point accept it after that astonishing execution subsequent to breaking records abandoned? And right, she's left. Clark's psyche is hustling, attempting to get a handle on everything. Here's the kicker. Clark later uncovered she was persuaded she'd make the collaborate. Until that exact second she assumed she was a lock, and for what reason wouldn't she just conveyed an exhibition that had everybody talking. She broke the unsurpassed help record, was sinking 30-foot shots like they were layups, and above all would carry more eyes to their game. Previous ballpoint monitor Gilbert Fields had this to say regarding what is going on. Right, you're expressing a huge number of individuals will be distraught on the off chance that she doesn't play a ton. Well, that implies 1 million individuals will not be seeing in the event that she's not in the group, so that assuming she's in a group, there watch me the shirt deals. How about you sell more pullovers without her, or with her? Undeniable will be with her USA shirt with her name on it will sell. So what's the genuine explanation for this scorn? It turns out it wasn't actually necessary to focus on Clark's ball abilities. At every one of the authorities generally disliked her fans. They didn't need the carnival that accompanies Clark's fame. Could you at any point accept that they're turning down quite possibly of the best player in the game, since they're frightened of a couple of additional fans? Yet the way that it additionally spilled from the camp that the justification for why Caitlyn Clark didn't make the group was nothing to do with ball. It was nothing to do with her not being at the camp that was on during the last 4. It was nothing to do with these different things. It resembled a ton of it was to do with the way that they didn't need the bazaar around them, and that gracious she won't play numerous minutes, and we didn't need her fans around. They in a real sense said they didn't need her fans around, and they resembled goodness the bazaar could direct them. Yet stand by, there's more going on. Recall how Group USA just brought one guide watch toward the Olympics. She got harmed, so presently now they're stuck without a strong point watch, all since they were stressed over some additional consideration. I don't think Sit and Clark would crash the group. I think having no point monitor wrecked the group, and having Chelsea Dim limp all over the floor for the whole Olympics, and afterward you were running Kelsey Plum as the reinforcement point monitor. Jewel Lloyd in some cases is the reinforcement point watch. So what do you think? Did USA Ball commit an enormous error? Should Clark suit up in red, white, and blue? And what's this choice going to mean for Group USA's possibilities at gold? How about we dig further and figure out Group USA's Olympic program choices caused a commotion, particularly when it came to Caitlyn Clark. The authority explanations behind leaving her off the group don't make any sense. Recollect the carnival they referenced. It wasn't actually necessary to focus on Clark's playing style at all. They were stressed over the fervor she brings to the game. Might you at any point accept that it's like they're apprehensive about progress? Here's where it gets truly fascinating. Group USA possibly brought one direct gatekeeper toward the Olympics when she got harmed. You'd think they'd hit up Clark, right? She's one of the most outstanding point watches out there, yet no, they actually didn't get her. And afterward you were running Kelsey Plum as the reinforcement point watch. Jewel Lloyd in some cases is the reinforcement point monitor, so why not Clark? How about we take a gander at the list they picked? Are you prepared for this yet? I
Think the most concerning issue was that they in a real sense picked 5 shoot first shooting watches. They picked 5 players that play a similar position, and not just play a similar position, have a similar play style. Did you get that? They picked 5 players who all play a similar position and have a comparative style it resembles. They are gathering duplicates as opposed to building a balanced group. Here are the names of the players they picked: Sabrina and SQ. They picked Kelsey Plum. They picked Ju Lloyd. They picked Diana Taurasi, and they picked K Copper. You may be considering, how did this choice affect Group USA's exhibition all around? Let me let you know it wasn't pretty. Without a solid point monitor and with an excessive number of players similarly situated, their protection truly battled. Kia Copper rode the frigging seat since they had such a large number of individuals out at a similar position. She could essentially play safeguard, however, and afterward we saw on the Olympic last and like we in a real sense had Chelsea Dim battling to run all over the floor, and afterward she would had that extraordinary game against the trash Japan group. How about we take a gander at the details? How did their point watches perform? I'll give you a clue. Not incredible. Toward the finish of the Olympics, they lacked the ability to play Chelsea dark. She was that terrible, and this time Clark was sitting at home watching on television, presumably figuring about how she might have had an effect, and afterward she was so awful. Toward the finish of the Olympics, they couldn't play her. They lacked the ability to play her. Toward the finish of the Olympics, she was so terrible. The choice to leave Clark off the group is made, yet the results they are simply starting to unfurl about a group possibly disrupted its own prosperity. About authorities were more worried about controlling the story than putting the best players on the court. Recall that game against Belgium. It ought to have been a simple success, rather it was a nail-biter. Group USA scarcely got by with a triumph, and why? Since they were feeling the loss of a vital piece of the riddle. Serious areas of strength for a gatekeeper, the sort of player who have some control over the speed, makes brilliant passes, and hit those grasp shots when it makes the biggest difference. Sound natural? Definitely. That is precisely exact thing Clark offers of real value, yet it deteriorates. How about we discuss the France game? 1 foot on the line. That is the manner by which close Group USA came to going into extra time. 1 foot. This is the group that should be miles in front of the opposition, and they are scarcely holding tight by their fingernails. That is not predominance, that is endurance. By the way, this French group as of now beginning. They were beginning at center watching AIA, who made an unimaginable showing in AIA in that game. Now you may be thinking, okay, yet the way that terrible might it at any point truly be? Very much. We should take a gander at the details. How joined USA's point watches perform? Recollect Chelsea Dim. She should be their go-to player there, yet toward the finish of the Olympics she was basically stuck to the seat. That is correct. They lacked the ability to play her in any longer. She was battling that much, and here's the kicker: this was all event while Caitlyn Clark was sitting at home watching on television. Could you at any point envision how she felt seeing the group battle in the very regions where she succeeds? It must be disappointing. They start a Chelsea grade Ju Lloyd. I realize she didn't play that much in the end, yet like she was beginning toward the beginning of it. She was their reinforcement point watch toward the beginning the Olympics. It was a show. Like, how would you go to a competition when, I'm not kidding, you could contend 12 of the third? Like, Sutter wasn't in shape. You could contend the strict 12 best players in the competition played for USA, and you won by a foot on the line in a game you presumably shouldn't have won in the last. So the inquiry at the forefront of everybody's thoughts is, might Clark at some point have changed all that all around? How about we take a gander at the proof? We're discussing a player who can sink 30-foot shots like their layups, a player who breaks help records for the sake of entertainment, a player who improves her partners by simply being on the court. Currently envision that player in Group USA. Envision her setting up those plays, hitting those long-reach bombs, and empowering the group when they required it. Generally, it's not hard to perceive how things might have been different, yet here's the genuine misfortune: we won't ever be aware without a doubt. Since certain individuals were more stressed over Clark's fame than her evident ability, they decided to leave her off the endlessly. Group USA followed through on the cost. To come to my meaningful conclusion, I accept the greatest beat lady star b-ball player on the planet, to the extent that eyes and far as dollar would have been a major assistance to ladies ball. So what's the significance here for the future? Well, one thing's without a doubt: the leaders at USA Ball have some serious clarifying for do on the grounds that right now it seems as though they messed themselves up, and ladies ball, it may very well have passed up seeing perhaps of its most splendid star gleam on the greatest phase of all. I would have wanted to see Caitlyn Clark on this crew, since I love ladies ball and I understand what she does when she shows up when the lights are on and the eyes of the world are there. Caitlyn Clark's Olympic censure has transformed into a significant argument. USA B-Ball's choice to leave her off the group caused a stir and ignited debate. The group battled without serious areas of strength for a gatekeeper, scarcely dominating matches they ought to have ruled. In the meantime, Clark continued breaking records and sinking those fantastic three-pointers. Dislike the men's, where you have great groups that can beat you in some random game that shouldn't occur in the ladies. And it nearly did it. Nearly did to a France group who was that great, like they scarcely beat a Julie Alamon-Les Belgium group in the semi-last. This entire circumstance